Hello everyone and welcome back to another episode of our 100 Days of DevOps series. So we started looking at Ansible yesterday. I defined what Ansible is. Basically, it's a configuration management tool that helps us configure our resources to the way we want them to be. And beyond that, we looked at other things that Ansible can also do. And we ended yesterday by installing Ansible on our control node. Like yesterday, we established that you need to have one control node, and then you can have several managed nodes. So you use the control node to control or to set up whatever you want to set up on the managed node. So yesterday, like I said, we're able to install Ansible. So if I type Ansible version, I should see that Ansible is already installed. Okay, so what is this? Sorry, Ansible version. Okay, so now I can see this confirms that Ansible is installed on my local PC. Yesterday we said for you to be able to use your Windows, basically you can use any Linux-based virtual machine. You can use Ubuntu, Debian, RHEL, macOS. But if you want to use Windows as your control node, you have to set up or install Windows subsidiary for Linux, that's WSL. So I'm currently using WSL now on my Windows PC. And so what we are going to do today, basically, we are going to try to connect our Windows PC or our control node with our managed node so that our control node can have access to be able to, do things on our managed node without any issues, right? So I've taken the liberty to create two virtual machines. I created two virtual machines on Azure. Like I said, going forward, we are going to be using immediately we ended the I think CI/CD phase. I think it was CI/CD before Azure. So immediately we finished that phase, I made mention that we are not going to be working with our hypervisors again. Whatever we are going to do going forward is going to be on the cloud. If you are deploying virtual machines, if you are deploying VNets and everything is going to be on the cloud. So we are going to work with two virtual machines. So we have the Ansible Managed Node 1 and then the Ansible Managed Node 2. And they've all been provisioned. So I provisioned them before this video so that I don't waste time, since it is something that, I mean, by now we should be able to do this even once they wake us up from sleep. So, how do I connect to my managed node? You can basically use SSH. That's like the preferred way. It's called passwordless authentication. So you can use SSH to connect your control node to your managed node. So I can click on connect. So once I click on connect, it gives me this SSH to execute. So I'll just copy this. I'll come to my VS Code and I'll paste. So it is saying private key file path. So I need to provide the path to a private key. So if you're provisioned Linux virtual machine, by now you should understand that at the point of creating it, you'll be asked to download a private key. So that private key is what you're going to use to authenticate into that virtual machine from maybe from your local PC or from any what do you call it, things like mobile XTEM and terminal and all of that. So now I downloaded it. It was downloaded in if I do ls-l, it's in my download slash Ansible Ansible managed node 1. So this is the key. This is the key that we are going to use. So I'm just going to paste the command again and provide the path to that key. Download slash Ansible manage node 1 dot pem. So I click enter. It's going to ask us to confirm. So I'll click yes, and then we run into an error. So um, this error says that the permission 0777 blah blah blah, it's too open. It is required that your private key files are not accessible by others. So basically, this is a private key, and it's not where it is saved. It's too open. It can be easily accessed. So it's not trusting it because SSH is like a trusted communication. So with this providing this particular location, it doesn't see it as a trusted location for you to have such a key because obviously it's supposed to be a private key. So what are we going to do now? I'm going to follow a list of steps. So we're going to add this to our SSH configuration, and then we'll see how we can do. The first thing is you want to create a file. You want to create a file named .ssh. So you create that file and you're creating it in the root, right? You're creating it in the root. Okay. Okay, the file already exists. So let me do ls-l and that file, and copy this. So if you don't have the file, you create it. But if the file already exists, okay, so what we now do next is that since you know the file already exists, what we now do is that we are going to copy that private key from our download to this particular file. So that is what we are going to do. So we are going to do cp download dot ansible manage node 1. So we are copying it to this. Um, so if you see this tilde sign, it means home, the home directory, or like the yeah, the home directory basically. So we are copying it to /ssh. Okay. So let's confirm that it is present in /ssh. Okay, so now we have that file in this /ssh. So we need to change the permission. Okay, we need to change the permission of this particular file because now we need to restrict, like we need to make it as restrictive as possible. So the you can see this place is read write execute. It has a full permission, while the other ones also have like pretty okay permission. So we need to reduce the permission as much as possible. So I'm going to do chmod 600 and I'm going to do /ssh /ansible. So I'm going to do that. So if I do ls-l, so now we have reduced the permission to just read write. That is all we need. That is all we need. We don't need unnecessary permissions so that other people don't get hold of this private key and then start doing things with them. So the next thing we are going to do is that we are going to create a configuration file, an SSH config file. So we'll create vim /ssh. So we'll create an SSH/config file where we'll now add this our host, this our managed node. We'll add it into the configuration file, and then we'll now see if we can be able to SSH into this virtual machine. So I'll click on okay. So what we want to do now is we want to define the host. I want to define the host, and the host is our Ansible managed host one. Okay. Then after that, we need a host name, The host name should be the IP address. Let's get the IP address. Let's get the IP address. Let me go back to and just cancel this. So let me just copy the IP address and I'll paste it here. Then the user is tech.sam. That's the user you indicated while creating the virtual machine. And then the identity file. Basically, this identity file is what it is going to use to authenticate to authenticate this our control node to the manage node. So all we need to do is just point it to the location where the identity file is. But now remember that we've copied it from our download to SSH. So you can't provide the download here because we tried using it and it didn't work because of the permission and all of that. So we have to use the one that is in our SSH configuration, which has lesser permission. So we're just going to do SSH slash Ansible Ansible managed oh managed node one dot I think it's dot pem. Yes, I think so. And Ansible managed node one dot. I just want to be sure that it is identity identity only. Yes, so it is just going to use only that identity file. So we define the host. The host is basically what we are going to use to SSH into. That's like the host name instead of using the IP address. And the host name is the IP address. The user is tech.sam. The identity file is we've pointed it to that place, and the identity only is yes. So if this is done correctly, if this is done correctly, let me see ch mode and lsfnl ch mode 600. Still want to restrict as much permission as possible. SSH slash config. Okay. So now we've inputted everything that we need. So what we're now trying to do now, we'll just do SSH and the name that we gave. That's let me show you. Let me just do cat. So SSH into this Ansible managed host one. So SSH Ansible managed host one. Or better still, I might just change the name so that it's not too long. Let me vim it. Let me come here and let me just have host one. Okay, then SSH to host one. So I click on enter. What is it saying? Bad configuration, identity only. One bad configuration. Okay, let's see what the issue is. Identity IES. Identities only. Yes. Okay. So let's see. SSH host one. And it's saying no such identity. Ansible manage host one. No such file or directory. Let's see. Why? There must be a naming issue. Okay, Ansible manage node one hyphen key. Okay, there's hyphen key or be underscore key rather. Node one underscore key node1 underscore key dot pem, node1 underscore key dot pem. So let's try to SSH to host one. Let me clear my screen. Let's try to SSH to host one. Let's see. Supposed to give us a prompt. Okay, good. So you can see now that we're able to SSH into host one. It didn't ask for any password. It didn't ask for anything. So that's the way you implement passwordless authentication, right? So now that we are in host one, so if I do exit and I run it again, SSH host one, it takes me straight back into the manage host one. You can see it's tech.sam at Ansible manage host one. So I can exit out of it. So I'm going to do the same thing for host two. I'm just going to I'm going to do the same. I'll do copy. Let me do for copy. Okay. So I'll just change this to node 2, right? I'll change this to node 2. I'll confirm that it is there. So you can see Ansible node 2 is already there also. So just like the way I did with the other one, I'm going to reduce the permission to the smallest um, possible permission. So I'll change this to node 2. Okay. So once that is done, all I need to do now is just to go and add it to our configuration file. Okay. So I'm just going to do this, and okay, so I have another host. I'll just create another host called host 2, and same thing, host name. Host name, I'll get the IP address. I'll get the IP address of our host 2. I'll paste, and the user is the same. Is the same. The identity file. I'm just going to copy this. So I'll copy this, and this should paste here. I'm just going to change this to 2. Good. And finally, I'm going to do identities only, and yes. Oh, yes. Identities only. Yes. Okay, all things being equal, this should work fine if this is correct. Let me clear. Let me SSH to host 2, and let's see. Okay, it will ask for us, do you want to, it will ask this authentication between our control node and the manage node. So I'll choose yes. So it is adding it, and I think I hope, okay, good. So now we are able to SSH into node 1 and node 2. You can see the name here, Ansible manage node 2. If I exit, so let me clear. Let me SSH to host one, just to show that you can see it, Ansible manage node 1. Let me exit. Let me SSH to host 2. Okay, great. So now we have sorry, we have access to both the node 1 and node 2. Let me exit. Okay, so now we have access to the host 1 and the host 2. So we need to start working, or we need to start doing things on this node. So the first thing we are going to do is, now we've been able to connect our um, control node to our manage node. So what you want to do is, yes, there's some the first thing we're going to do is, before we start writing our playbooks, let's first try out some few commands and see if what we can do with that. Then from there, we now start taking things up. So first thing I want to do now is let's go to the documentation and see. So use Ansible command line tools, and so there are different command line tools. There's the Ansible, there's Ansible config, console, Ansible doc, Ansible galaxy, and blah blah blah, and all of that. So there's even Ansible CLI cheat sheet and all the rest. But I'm particular about the ad-hoc command. Basically, ad-hoc command helps us to run quick commands on on in Ansible, just to maybe you want to quickly test for something, you quickly check for it. Instead of writing the whole playbook, you can just use a ad-hoc command to confirm one or two things. For example, let's say you want to check if the host is reachable. Instead of writing a playbook for that, you can just use a ping, right? In networking, we talked about ping. You can use ping to confirm that, the playbook, or sorry, you can use ping to confirm that a host is actually working. So you can come to, there are different one. There is rebooting servers, managing files, managing packages, managing users and group, blah, 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 and all of that. And this is the format: add-on command, pattern, the module, and then the module options. So I'm just going to, you can check all of this, but we are going to be working with just maybe one or two. So one of the things that you can use to confirm that your managed node is reachable from your your IP node, your IP, is that you can ping it just like I said, right? You can ping it just like I said. But first things first, I said the way you can, how do I put it now? Let me go back to this. So now, I mentioned in the previous video that you can add all of your target node or your managed node into a file. So Ansible will read from that file, right? Ansible will read from that file and then target all those virtual machines in the file. So now, name of the file you're going to create is inventory.ini. So you're going to create an inventory.ini file. So in that inventory.ini file, you can put in all your backend server's IP address, or you can put the name. Just in our case now, we're not going to put the IP, we're just going to put the name because we've already defined the host name in our SSH configuration, right? So we'll just define maybe the name of the host or the IP of the host. However, you're able to connect to those backend servers. So you're just going to do it, and then that is what you're going to do. And then when you pass it into the Ansible command, Ansible will look into that file and then execute whatever command or execute whatever instruction that you have given it for it to, how do I put it now? For it to actually do, right? So what we're going to do is we're going to create an inventory.ini file, touch inventory.ini. Let me see. Let me see. Okay, touch inventory.ini. Okay, so let me do ls hyphen l hyphen l. So this is inventory.ini. I'm trying to see if I can open it. Okay, so I've opened the inventory.ini file. So what I'm going to do is that the same thing that I've done, I'm just going to do host one, and host2. It's It's as simple as that. So I'm adding host one and host two into inventory.ini file. So the command is Ansible pattern module. And if you have any arguments to add, then you add it. So I'm going to use, first thing is I'll ping. So I'm going to use the ping module. So Ansible hyphen I. Basically, you're adding hyphen I to specify which location is your managed host located, like which which file is your managed host located, right? So you can use that. You can have your ini file in anywhere in your file system, so long you can just point Ansible to that file. So that is what the hyphen I flag is used for. It is to point Ansible to the file in which you have put your inventory, your backend servers, your managed host, whatever you want to call it. So I'll do inventory.ini. So now I want to use the ping module -m, and I want to use the ping module, and I want to ping all the servers. I want to ping all the servers, right? I want to ping all the servers in the inventory.ini file. So let's see, fingers crossed. Let's hope this works. So let's give it a sec. Ansible will try to reach this host one and host two that has been defined in the inventory.ini file. So and from the response, we have a success. So you can see it here, success, and this is success, and we got a response ping pong and also ping pong here. So this is to show that Ansible is able to talk, is able to communicate. That's your control node is able to communicate with your manage node. Now remember, I did not set up anything in those VMs on my Azure. I did not set up a single thing. All I did was just create those virtual machines, and that was all. And I added their details into my SSH file and into my inventory.ini. That's one leverage Ansible has over the other configuration tools like Puppet and Chef and all of that. I did not install anything. This just goes to further prove that Ansible is actually agentless. I did not install anything on those virtual machines. The only place I installed Ansible on is on this particular um, control node that we are actually looking at. So now this is the ping module. I can also decide that okay, I want to list the content in host one. Let's say, for example, I want to list the content in slash. I want to list what is in slash etc in host one. I'll use the shell module. I'll just do Ansible, same format, inventory.ini. But now what I'm going to do is that I'm going to use the shell. I'm going to use the shell module, and I'm going to pass an argument because the ping module, it does not have anything like, it does not have any other argument attached with it. Basically, it's just ping. So you're not adding anything. But the shell module helps us to do shell commands, right? We can initiate or we can carry out shell commands, and we need to. So it is hyphen A that will help us carry out those commands. So you put your command there and you do sudo ls -l slash etc. Okay, and I'm targeting host one. So let's see if this is going to work. Let's see if this is going to work. I believe it should work because the syntax is quite correct. Oh, good. So you can see it. I am able to list what is in slash etc despite not even going into that VM and manually doing all of this. So this is how you can actually use your ad-hoc command. You can check the documentation pages, try out other things, and then see how it works. So you can create a file, you can create a folder without having to, like, how do I put it now? Without having to do so much, right? Just use your Ansible and then use the ad-hoc commands. So, okay, what else before we call it a day? Okay, for example, now you have like a group of servers. You have, let's say you have 100, there are 100 servers. Out of 100 servers, like 30 servers are for the app, for 30 servers are app servers. Another 30 servers or 40 servers are web servers, and 30 servers are database servers. So if you want to, there's a way you can use Ansible to target specific group. Remember now, we just defined host one and defined host two. But imagine you have host one, host two, host three, host four, and all of that up to host 100. And you need to target, maybe you want to run a command on 5 hosts at once. Ansible supports groupings. That's where I'm trying to go. Ansible supports groupings. And how do you group a bunch of servers? All you need to do is just use this and just do this. So you can do, let's say, um, now it has grouped these two servers under host. So if I save this now, remember I initiated a ping command. Let me recall that command. I did a ping command and I said all. Now let me do host. If I do host, I'm going to get the same response because now it has grouped these two servers under host, right? I just want to show you. So you can see now that we have a success response. So now I can further use this to be, I can do app, I can do app, and I can make host 2 to be web. So now host 1 is app, host 2 is web. And let me save this. So I'm going to ping, but this time around, I'm not going to use host. I'm not going to use host 1. I'm going to use app. So when I click on app, when I enter, it is going to ping only host 1. It will not ping host 2. So you can see now we're having only just one ping. And if I change this to web, so it will it will ping only host 2. So this is the way. Now imagine you might not really see the power of this now because we are working with a small number of servers. If you're working with just 2 servers, but imagine now that you have like 50 servers and you've grouped them under app, or you grouped another 50 under web. Imagine you want to install something. Let's say you want to do if I want to do, let's say, app update or app upgrade, right? You work on those 50 servers all at once, and you don't have to go into them and start doing one thing and start doing all of them one after the other, one after the other. So basically what the whole purpose of this video today is just to show us how we can connect the our control node to our manage node, and then also how we can confirm the connection, and also to introduce us to Ansible ad-hoc commands that you can quickly check connectivity, commands that you can quickly do one or two things on a server. For example, now if you want to quickly install Nginx, you can just quickly do sudo apt install nginx-y, and then you just target the group of servers, and then nginx is installed on all the servers. Basically, you're converting all the servers to a web server. So that is how powerful Ansible can be. So in the next video, we'll move from using just command to start writing proper Ansible playbooks that will work on these two servers, right? So maybe what I would do at first is that I will use I will, I would maybe set up one of the servers as a web server, right? Maybe host 2, which is under web, will be a web server. I'll just run um Nginx, install Nginx, and then we'll see how that plays out. And then we'll now write our Ansible playbook to see what we can do with the playbook, right? So that will be all for me for now. I hope you've gained something. I hope you've enjoyed this video. And if you have, don't forget to give this video a like, share with your friends, subscribe to my channel, and most importantly, turn on your notification bell so that when I post the next video, you get notified immediately. You can watch and then you can add to your knowledge. I'll see you again on the next one. Enjoy the rest of your day. Cheers.